But if you're pro-Second Amendment, you should be for this bill. We can protect Second Amendment rights. We can make an impact on teen suicide, upon domestic abuse, upon straw purchases landing guns in the hands of criminals, and upon rampage shooting. And we can do that while protecting the Second Amendment. That's what I'm hearing from the American people. That's what this bill does. And with that, Madam President, I yield the floor.
Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong.
In case you didn't know, that was a Republican senator arguing for a gun control bill. If you'd like to hear how that bill was passed into law and is actively hurting gun rights, watch the rest of the video. Guys, I'm Phil, and this is the Minuteman Moment. GOA has recently obtained material that showed the enhanced background checks, also known as mandatory delays for 18 to 20-year-olds, will be going into effect in Maine. It's only a matter of time till this happens in your state. This is the gun control that your Senate voted for. During the summer of gun control, we talked about how if Congress passed this bill, the Second Amendment would be denied to certain people. But the guys in charge of all of this insisted this wasn't true, because if a law-abiding citizen under 21 got their right delayed, they would still eventually get their firearm. But we know that argument's not true. A right delayed is a right denied. If you delay someone's 15th Amendment right to vote until after Election Day, that's a right denied. If you tell someone that they can't worship on specific days and have to wait until later, that's a right denied. If you delay an accused person's 6th Amendment right to a trial by jury until after the punishment, that's a right denied. And if you delay a citizen's 2nd Amendment right to keep and bear arms, that's a right denied. Let's get into exactly what these mandatory delays actually mean for those legal adults that want to exercise their 2nd Amendment rights. The proposed enhanced background checks will include checks with state databases and local law enforcement, which could then delay the purchase by about 2 weeks. But if Congress is willing to admit that these enhancements are really necessary for one prohibited person category, then they're pretty soon going to find themselves answering why these delays and enhancements don't apply to the other 9 prohibited persons categories. Further, allowing local law enforcement tips and hearsay to result in the denial of a constitutional right will truly constitute an arbitrary and unconstitutional gun ban. Mandatory waiting periods put Americans' constitutional rights on hold when they may be in the middle of a dangerous situation, whether that be from a threat of somebody they know, a dangerous period of rioting or looting, or any number of scenarios like a California realtor who was concerned about her safety at work, so she applied to buy a handgun. But the Golden State requires her to wait 10 days before picking up the gun. And sadly, she was raped by a client within that 10-day period. A resident of Wisconsin inquired about getting a gun to protect herself from a husband who had repeatedly threatened to kill her. She was told there was a 48-hour waiting period to buy that gun. And unfortunately, she was never able to pick up a gun. She and her 2 sons were killed the next day by an abusive husband of whom the police were well aware. And then there's a Marine corporal who bought a gun in Virginia and used it to kill an attacker in self-defense 2 days later. Had she had to wait, like the other 2 examples I just gave, she would have been defenseless against the man who was stalking her. So what does all this mean? 18 to 20-year-olds can vote, serve in the military, get married, and raise families. GOA is committed to their defense. Here's a big one that's going to strike a nerve with some people. Nobody has a problem with 18 to 20-year-olds being drafted by the elites to fight, die, and kill with guns in wars they don't want to fight in. And to some of these people, an 18-year-old with a fully automatic machine gun is totally unconscionable, unless they're in the military. Why? Because the elites don't see gun ownership as your right. They see it only as something useful if the state can use it. To them, you're just borrowing the right. The current 18 to 20-year-old handgun ban is antiquated and keeps honest, young adults disarmed, sending the message that 18 to 20-year-olds are really second-class citizens. Restoring the right of young adults to purchase handguns for self-defense would be true common sense gun reform. And the kind of bills I'm talking about are the Second Amendment for Every Registrable Voter Act, or the Second Amendment Mandates Equality Act, that were introduced in this Congress by the man, the myth, the legend, Congressman Thomas Massie, and his Senate counterpart, Senator Lummis. If you think that rights shouldn't be denied, support rolling back the laws already on the books. All right, that's it for now. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this video, and we'll see you next time.